All right, we are back. Welcome back to my studio, and hello and welcome if you are here for the first time. Appreciate you stopping by. So where we left off in the last video, I had done this layer of green, which I struggled with. It's if you watch the previous videos, you know that I'm not used to painting on Masonite panel, and the paint just acts different, so I've struggled a little bit with that. So the reason it's this color really has more to do with the technical problems than the aesthetics of what I actually want. So the mission today is to kind of correct that, correct the green tone to more of this, I think it's sap green and lemon yellow that I really like. This has kind of a viney quality to it that I'm going for without being too literal. And it's supposed to be, I need to integrate it. The other mission today is to integrate it into the background a bit. Again, I have these early coats that I've maintained, this kind of dark pink area that's most of the composition, that's been equated with either floral or fire, which I'm happy with either of those. And then there was this little intermittent green that I've been developing. So that's where we're at. I also got an email yesterday letting me know that I have 21 days until this is due at the gallery, and because it's oil paint, it needs to dry. Plus, as I've mentioned in other videos, I want to do gold leaf and most likely varnish it. So I am setting aside other tasks today and working on this because it needs to dry. So I can get a couple more coats on the green and then probably touch up the background, or the mid area, really, this kind of darker pink area. And then move on to the gold leaf. So we're in the home stretch. There's just a lot of very teeny tiny work to do. Another issue I realized I was having in the last video when I was looking at this on my lap this morning very closely is, well, one, I wear trifocals, so I have to be up pretty close to see this. It's a tiny painting. I usually paint about twice this size, and so I need to get in rather close, and but I was trying not to block the camera. So I've changed my camera angle. You're more on the side this time, which I apologize for the weird perspective, but it allows me to get in and you can see what I'm doing without me blocking the camera, having it behind me. So that is where we're at. Yeah, so I have my palette ready. I have a bit of glaze. I don't want to thin this down too much, though using glaze will allow me to pick up this kind of range of tones, which I really like, kind of building it on the canvas. As I mentioned in the last video, not really overly fond of this Viridian. I think it makes it too blue, and I kind of want to knock this back in and weave it back into this mid area. So we're actually going to bring in some of the purple from the background for shading. So what I'm going to start with, again, I have teeny tiny little brushes. I think we'll try this one. It's a size 0 filbert, and just a smidge of glaze to help it dry up. And let's start, again, don't often mix on my palette, but I'm going to mix up the sap green and this phthalo yellow green that I really like, and some lemon yellow. And I don't mix it completely, so there's little blobs of all the paint on my brush. And I just want to start, kind of hit the main grain areas. And just kind of figure out the color. that I want. That's a little bright. A little more sap green. Oh, my neighbor's using an air compressor. Perfect timing. I just painted this green 2 days ago and it is so dry, almost chalky. And I was looking at some of my canvases that I really like the blending, and yeah, it's just a different Okay, we are back after a brief break that actually was fortuitous. My neighbor was filling his car tires with his air compressor, which is about 10 feet from my window. So I took a moment and went and watered my tomatoes and had a snack and looked at this, stared at it for a bit, and decided I'm contradicting myself, changing my mind. I actually do like the Viridian. I think if I do all of it in this yellow green, it's going to be too hot, and the background's already very hot. So it'll be a combination of the two, but I'm going to bring in some of that Viridian. I like it because I want it to, the whole layout I was doing was around these dark areas as kind of crevices that all this is emerging out of. That's what I'm seeing. Don't know what you're seeing. Feel free to comment, and while you're at it, like the video. We all know how algorithms work. It would be doing me a huge solid. But anyways, so that's what we're gonna do now. Slight change of plans. And I'm gonna start with the Viridian. Actually, an area I like that I was looking at this morning was this little branch here as it goes back into the shadow area. That's the effect I want. So after identifying that, we're just gonna grow our little viney thing. Same with here. I remember last year I did a painting of a rabbit at night with some flowers, with some pansies. And as I've mentioned in other videos, I don't do a lot of representational art. But for some reason, I decided to do a rabbit at night, which I'd never done a nighttime painting either. Anyways, I was remembering as this painting has dried the last couple days that I really struggled with that one too, putting in just a lot of time because of the panel, not being used to working on a flat Masonite panel. So note to self, next summer, but as I've also said, I think it's important to try new things. Also, in the last video at the end, I blended because I put the paint on pretty thick and I wanted to blend it back into the surface. So I got a lot of this brushiness around it where it smeared the paint, and I kind of like it. So we're going to be playing with that today too, and actually highlighting that. Yeah, and this is a 10 by 10 inch panel. It's pretty tiny. So I got to get up pretty close on it. And I need new glasses, which is not helping the situation at all. My Viridian paint has been on the palette for a couple days and is a little gummy. I was trying not to waste it, but in this case, it's making my life more difficult. So we need fresh Viridian. Okay. Yeah, that's better. I can already tell. Oh, yeah. Okay. I keep my disposable palette in I think it's a Rubbermaid brand. Actually, I don't know. It's one of these It's a plastic container with a lid. Shit, I went in the old stuff. Anyways, which helps keep it from getting a skin so quickly. But, as I've also mentioned previously, the Denver metro area where I live is semi-arid. So we have humidity level usually in the teens, which has its pros and cons as a painter. I was using linseed oil for a while. A friend, actually down at Access, the oil paints reminded me of the beauty of linseed oil. But I was trying to increase productivity for a variety of reasons, and went back to my alkyd drying glaze. And while I really love the luster of linseed oil, and I don't always mind the dry time, that's fine. Usually have multiple paintings going. But I do worry about it turning yellow, where supposedly the alkyd glazes don't do that quite as much anyways. I mean, they've only been around for 50 years. It's not like we had hundreds of years to test them. But since my paintings are so much about color, I want it to stay accurate and not yellow over time too much. So that's partly why I choose the products that I choose. I'm having fun. I'll zoom in on this, but just being tiny brush strokes on these leafy type bits. I want to be careful not to grow them too much, because I really like the red background. So each layer has a tendency to kind of expand a bit. So I want to be careful about that. Intentional about that, I guess I would say. I need a pointy brush. All right, I'm going to come in now with this very tiny number 2 chisel blender. Bring in the sap and lemon yellow and phthalo yellow green. And blend a bit. Blend and highlight are the goals. Yeah, the surface is chalky, and again, this is a autism thing. We often have sensitivities of touch. I know quite a few people who absolutely despise velvet and corduroy. I mean, like literally hate it, call it names. I happen to love velvet, but I think part of it from a sensory issue of painting, in that this affects my neurology, That chalkiness is, it doesn't have the teeth grinding quality of like fingernails on a chalkboard where it's that screech. It's more, oh my gosh, how do I want to describe this? Just not smooth, but in an unpleasant way. Interesting, I don't know. But that's sometimes what happens with me in paint. It becomes very sensory. I like the slipperiness of oil paint, so I need a clean rag. These little tiny brushes build up paint really fast, and then pretty soon you have it's like a little shovel. A lot of people don't realize when you paint, it's actually a surface design if the surface is sealed. So you end up really just moving paint on the surface. If you are trying to wall paint, you actually are trying to make a smooth finish on the surface. So if I have too much paint on my brush, it's like a little plow, and it just starts moving it all over the place and gets gunky. And it's important to check your brush. I think sometimes I don't like small tedious things because I have to dip so many times, where something loose and gestural, I can load up the brush and just play and smear it around and yum, 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 yum. Just love that. It's very tactile. And I've been holding a brush, at least for oil paint, since I was 10. So it's like a appendage. I can feel the bristles on the surface. Right. Now that is, I really wasn't picturing that blue-green, but I kind of am digging it. Well, we're here now, so we have to keep going. This is again the problem with experimentation, the risk-taking. It can take you in places that weren't part of the plan, but it's also why you should always leave lots of time for deadlines. I have actually missed a couple shows because I didn't do that, and finally realized I was trying too hard to make a deadline rather than make a good painting. So if I'm got a deadline, I lie to myself a lot of times and give myself a much earlier date. I think on this one I'm on time. But I also want to move up back to some other paintings that I need to finish too, so that's part of the motivation. All right, so I'm trying to get this sap green and lemon and phthalo green over here. And that green is nice and wet now. And a tiny, tiny little area. If I go off of it, it's like going off the road when you're driving and get that kind of bumpy. That's what it feels like. And blend a little bit. I will probably come back. Not this time, because I just don't even want to have to deal with it. But at some point after this dries, and touch up the background a little bit, and put it in relationship with this new green foreground. Ooh, this little chisel brush makes really cool marks. Give it some texture. And I'm leaving a little bit of the smear I made during the last session because it creates a little glow around the green that I'm kind of digging. So I'm leaving that. And like what this is doing, I had set this vine, we will call it, up last time to go into this dark area, and I like what that's doing, so that's what we're going for. Trying to stick with one color, develop it, because that's helping me see where all this is going to go. So we'll work across. I want to finish this area though, kind of, at least with the two color blended. So then I know, okay, this is what we're doing on the rest of it. So we'll experiment on a small part, get it figured out, and then move on. While also understanding that there's going to be at least one more layer on this, on the green itself, before I get to gold leaf. Probably one more level, one more layer of yellow green or viridian shadow and green yellow highlights. We'll see how it dries. I might change my mind on that. So yeah. All right, now I'm going to go back to the Viridian and build that up a bit. Yeah, that's funny. I actually really like the Viridian. Ah, the joy of painting. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to take a short break and give this a look. Do some visual analysis basically and see how it looks. And then I think I'm going to turn it when I come back and to work on this area. Again, this panel has hooks in it, so it can either go this way or this way. So I have to keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm going to take a bit of a break here and look at this. And then I'll come back and keep adding green.